Of the 64 Ways, Personal Contemplations on the Gene Keys. The sixth way. Gene Key 6, the way of diplomacy. Shadow, conflict. Dilemma, protection. Gift, diplomacy. City, peace. Programming partner, Gene Key 36. Code honoring, the ring of alchemy. The transformational way of the sixth gene key moves from conflict to peace, and it's the way of diplomacy. This is really the great emotional master key, the sixth gene key. It contains the secret to peace, the elusive grail sought by human beings since the beginning of time. Inner peace, outer peace. How do we find peace? This is the question of this transformational way. Peace is the very purpose of evolution. Only when we have finally found peace can evolution really end. Then evolution ends and being begins. What is conflict and where does it come from? Every shadow is rooted in a frequency of conflict. It's the friction created by duality, by the sexes, by life and death. It's why we're here, this cutting edge of creation, conflict. Let's see how this works in our lives. This gene key governs our emotions, and at the shadow frequency, we completely identify with our emotions. The dilemma of this shadow is protection. It's all about the fear that another person can hurt us or that they can take something from us. It's the deep unconscious fear that we can be a victim and taken advantage of by another. At its most horrific level, this is the fear that another can take our life away. That's a deep fear, that another can harm us. It drives all human beings at the shadow frequency. It's in all of us. Think of the most challenging relationship in your life right now and ask yourself, what is the essence of that conflict? It is that we have an unconscious belief or fear that the other person has some control over us, over our freedom, and over our emotions. They seem to have the ability to ruin our peace, and we therefore believe that we have to protect ourselves from that. Thus, we harden our heart and make internal or external judgments about them, or we just plain avoid them. The bottom line is that we don't like the part of ourselves that they seem to bring out. When we look deeply and honestly into these relationships, we see something else. We see that this person is allowing us access to an inner conflict inside ourselves, a conflict that runs very, very deep. It's the conflict we have with the unconscious fear in our DNA. It's a part of our ancestral legacy, an older part of our brain. It takes a big person to admit they have deep fears inside them. Once we begin to realize that these fears are inside and not outside, we break out of the patterns that are holding that relationship at the shadow frequency. This is when we begin to let go of our protection mechanisms, the defense strategies we learned in our early childhood, and we begin to become vulnerable again. We go into our wound and feel, share, accept, and transform it. Every human being is emotionally vulnerable until they drop their protective defenses. The defenses form around our hearts, and as long as our hearts remain defended and closed, they can't heal. The hurt can't be felt, expressed, and released. Conflict is the prima materia of our evolutionary journey. It's where we most need to focus our attention. We have to own it. Let's look at these relationships in our lives. They're the gold dust. They contain the seeds of inner peace. Let's not shy away from them, but take courage and move towards them with an open mind and heart. We can allow ourselves to be vulnerable and hurt, except for physically, of course. When the hurt comes, we can own it, listen to it, learn from it, and learn to parent ourselves. The other person is not responsible for our feelings in response to the hurt. We are. We need to look after our own heart and learn to bring it back to life. It's not that we have to keep putting ourselves in the firing line, but we have to see that these relationships, these conflicts, are always here. They're where the transformation occurs. Once we begin to heal ourselves inwardly, then these relationships no longer have such a hold over us. In fact, the dynamic has no choice but to change. The other person either begins to also be transformed, or they move out of our life in some way. A huge amount of energy is wasted on protection, on defense. Collectively, let's look at this shadow. We humans are obsessed with protecting ourselves from each other. This is just an outer manifestation of the inner truth. We defend our principles, our opinions, our territory, our resources, our hearts. From what? Conflict is propagated by our false belief that another person or entity can take something away from us. There's a radical teaching in this gene key, and when embraced, it will shatter the greatest illusion we have, that there's anything or anyone outside ourselves in the first place. The sixth gift, diplomacy. The gift of diplomacy begins as soon as we drop our defenses and open our hearts. To be diplomatic in this sense has nothing to do with strategy. The heart is not strategic, at least not in any studied sense. It is, however, completely tactful. It senses empathically where another person's heart is and the degree of their openness. Each gift carries a genius inside it, and people with the sixth gift really know how to commune with others. Not just communicate, mind you, they know how to commune. They understand defenses because they themselves are willing to be vulnerable. They're the most vulnerable. They're right there with us, with their hearts on their sleeves. The ability to be with oneself, to take care of oneself internally, and to be safe even in the midst of fear is a hallmark of the sixth gift. It's what happens when we no longer fear fear itself. Only then do we stop being a victim of fear. Only then do we stop allowing ourselves to be unconsciously manipulated by other people's fears. This internal ability to be responsible for ourselves changes everything in our lives. It begins to open our lives up onto a whole other frequency, another dimension, and in this new dimension, the heart can breathe again, and love begins to pour through us. Every gift is the junction of the forces of evolution and involution. Evolution moves from the shadow state upwards, and involution moves from the city state downwards. In other words, peace is always there, every step of the way. It's like Michelangelo's block of marble, just waiting to be chipped away. The gift state releases all the trapped creative energy from the shadow, the Kundalini. The gift state releases all the trapped creative energy from the shadow. Oh, I just said that. This energy lifts us up and opens up so many possibilities. Only one who has had the courage to take the journey knows the truth about love. Love requires we expose everything about ourselves. It requires that we open our hearts up to another, risking rejection, anger, whatever emotional energy life throws at us. With diplomacy, we sense when to speak and when to listen, when to leap and when to pause. With the gift of diplomacy, we can unlock any human being who comes within our aura, and it's also all karmic. Those who we're designed to unlock and who unlock us always keep coming into our life. As we rise up on the wings of the gift, more and more people come to us for this love, and we open up more in them, and this opens up more inside us. We can see how the people of this gift have the power to change the world. It's placed inside them. It's in all of us. But those with this genius have a specific karmic task of creating the conditions of peace. It's through this gift that the borders will begin to come down, that balance will return to human relationships, and that people and nations will stop wasting their precious resources on maintaining the illusion of defending themselves. It's through the sixth gift of diplomacy that the human race will rediscover its true nature as kindly, friendly, trusting, and above all, loving. The sixth gift is all about alchemy. It's an aspect of the ring of alchemy. Alchemy is about the transformation of the gross into the subtle. It's the path of evolution to move through progressive periods of refinement. But true alchemy can only happen inside a human being first. It's part of what it means to live as an embodiment of our higher purpose. When we begin to meet our shadows and transform them into creative service, then we witness alchemy in action, and alchemy is a chain reaction. The more the heart opens, the more heart-opening experiences occur. Life changes around us. It draws elements around us that further support more opening. It invites synchronicities and miracles. There's much magic in this sixth gift. Thank you. The sixth city, peace. The sixth city is funny. It's funny because it's what gives the new age a bad name. It's what creates idealists, dreamers, wackos, love and lighters. It's the ideal of world peace. Nowadays, there's a great deal of cynicism around this idea of world peace. There's a projection field from the shadow that world peace is unattainable, that it's the domain of the dreamer, not the realist. All these people who do ceremonies for world peace, who have conferences around it, who meditate for it, they appear to be getting nowhere. War is still rife everywhere. Atrocities seem more prevalent than ever, thus the cynicism. We do know something, though. Peace has to be found on the inside before it can manifest on the outside. There's no other way. Humanity must discover its true nature. The good news is that our nature is peace, the sixth city. We live at an amazing crossroads. The world seems more chaotic and unpredictable than ever, and our general level of denial about our way of life seems unstoppable. Yet within all this external chaos, a tiny humble wildflower is growing up through the cracks in the pavement. It's appearing everywhere, all across the human genome, but at first it only takes root in certain people. It's a virus called love. Peace only comes about when love is allowed to expand. Peace is underneath everything. It's there when we all just stop what we're doing and listen. There it is. The birds are singing, the stars are reeling through space, the ocean comes rolling in, the wind drops. Silence descends, inner silence. Any human being who has discovered the true nature of being has discovered peace, and with it, all seeking comes to an end. Peace, as Christ said, passeth all understanding. It's there when the love has burned through all the karma in our DNA, when all the shadows have been transformed, when the fire of devotion has burned us clean. It's the final flowering of alchemy. It's the gold, the unio mystica, when all extremes are neutralized, as the city is described in the Gene Keys book, which speaks of all the hydrogen ions being neutralized within the body, so that the atomic structure of our body begins to undergo radical changes. This sixth city is really, really out there. It's woo-woo land. The skeptics love this one. It's about living off light. It's our future. The shift we're going through now at a genetic level is just the very beginning. As our solar plexus opens us up to the new quantum awareness, our bodies will have to mutate. This kind of thing takes time. Unless we have a certain configuration of cities, there's no shortcuts through this one. Evolution moves to greater and greater efficiency. Eventually, we'll need a higher vehicle to house this awareness. Our understanding now about the body is medieval compared to what our understanding will be in the future. Right now, there's no scientific proof, at least in the mainstream, for the subtle bodies, not even for the etheric body, which is the densest after the physical. Even acupuncture is not scientifically proven. Physics is suggesting that there must be dimensions that we can't see or measure. We call these the subtle bodies, the causal body, the Buddhic body, the atmic body, etc. They are dimensions beyond our current understanding. Perhaps we'll never develop instruments to measure them. Why would we, when we would have to heighten our consciousness to prove that they exist? Yet they do exist, and always have done. They've been discovered eons ago. Every person who has passed through the portal of enlightenment is proof that peace is our true original nature. One day, because of this sixth city, we'll evolve beyond the physical form. Our whole ecosystem will take us with it, not just as humans, but the whole of Gaia. The sixth gene key is about the colors of culture. It's about cultural and genetic divides. This is why we've created so many beautiful cultures. Look at all our flags, costumes, folk music, and customs. We've differentiated consciousness so beautifully, and yet it's also led to conflict and diplomacy. We can also see this differentiation if we look at the big picture, like the kinds of changes that are happening in our nations, the EU, the USA, etc. It's a single culture that's emerging. The music is merging, the gene pools are merging, and yet the old divides still remain. The extremes are being neutralized. And they don't like that. But the news is good. It's always good at the acidic frequency. We get to keep the lovely bits of the past and unify everything else. Nature wants all those colors. They're her beauty. Nature loves beauty. Peace is on the way, but it's coming on the inside first. It's coming on an individual level, then gradually through relationships, then into families and communities, and then the world. It's an internal mutation, is peace. Inner peace requires a physical mutation. It's genetic, and at some level, it's impersonal. Not everyone will mutate. The old human is being bred out, but will still stick around while the new one spreads. The new one will be calm and peaceful. This sixth city is so Christ-like. It's about our radiance. Our skin and eyes will radiate the higher frequencies. We will radiate peace, and nothing can disturb that peace, not even death. As we saw in the beginning of this key, this is about dropping defenses. It's not possible for another being to take away our life, because we are life. Even if our host body dies, our consciousness is not localized there, so it's not a big deal. Thank you so much for the like. Hi, Mac. That level of trust and knowing generates a kind of peace that passeth all understanding. And that's where we are all heading. So that was the sixth way and the sixth gene key from the 64 Ways, Personal Contemplations on the Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. Thank you so much for joining me for this live stream, and I will see you on the next one. Be well, stay wild as well.